Greg and the accidental royal wedding. Greg never thought his duct tape would get him into trouble, much less an interstellar marriage proposal. He was just wandering through the crowded bazaar on the Orion 9 trading hub when he heard shouting. And because shouting usually meant either a discount or a fight, Greg turned his head. What he saw was not a bargain or a brawl, it was a princess, though he didn't know that yet. She was surrounded by attendants who flapped about in complete panic. One was shrieking about sacred blood spilling, another was trying to read instructions off a glowing scroll, and the princess herself was sitting on the ground holding her arm with a look of mild annoyance, as though she'd just spilled coffee on her dress. "Anybody got a band-aid?" Greg asked, strolling over with the relaxed gait of a man who had once accidentally slept through both a fire alarm and an ex-girlfriend's dramatic farewell speech. The attendants gasped, horrified. "You dare address the royal one directly?" Greg shrugged. "She looks like she's bleeding. Bleeding trumps etiquette where I come from." Before they could stop him, Greg squatted, pulled duct tape and a cough drop from his fanny pack, and patched up the wound. The princess blinked at him, then she laughed. And because she laughed, the attendants fainted. "You've saved my life," she said, her voice musical and very serious. "By the laws of my people, this means that you should probably wash that with soap and water when you get the chance," Greg interrupted. "No," she replied, "it means we are now engaged." Greg paused. "Engaged in conversation?" "Engaged in marriage," she corrected. Greg scratched his chin. "Huh. Well, that escalated quickly. Word of this engagement spread across the station faster than free samples at Costco. Because it spread, the Galactic Council summoned Greg for a hearing. And because Greg showed up in cargo shorts and a t-shirt that read "World's Okayest Human," the council nearly collapsed from scandal. "You must be tested for worthiness," bellowed the High Advisor, a creature with 12 noses and one very judgmental frown. "Tested," Greg said, sipping a soda. "Look, I just put a sticker on her arm, hardly worth extra credit." But because refusal was considered an insult punishable by vaporization, Greg agreed. And because he agreed, the trials began. First came the trial of celestial knowledge. "How many moons orbit Yilin Prime?" demanded the examiner. Greg squinted. "Dunno, but I do know your snack bar has top-notch cheese sticks." The examiner sputtered, but the audience laughed. Because they laughed, the princess laughed too. And when she laughed, Greg grinned, which only made her laugh harder. And somehow that counted as passing. Next was the trial of the ceremonial beast. A monster the size of a hover bus stomped into the pit, bellowing so fiercely that several dignitaries fainted. Greg stared. "Big dog, huh?" He reached into his fanny pack, pulled out a half-eaten jerky stick, and held it up. The beast sniffed once, then wagged its spiked tail and licked Greg's face. Because the beast loved him, the crowd roared approval. And because of that, the princess's rival suitor turned a particularly ugly shade of green. The rival suitor, a six-eyed brute named Zarnak, stormed forward. "I challenge this, human to a duel." Greg raised an eyebrow. "Nah, I don't fight over people. If she wants you, she can have you." The princess gasped. No one had ever given her such freedom. Because she gasped, Zarnak grew angrier. And because he grew angrier, he swung wildly at Greg. Greg bent down to tie his shoe, and Zarnak knocked himself unconscious on the marble pillar. "Convenient," Greg muttered. But because Zarnak was humiliated, conspirators plotted to kidnap the princess. And because they tried, Greg, carrying nachos, tripped. The nachos flew, the cheese landed on the kidnappers' visors, and the sprinklers shorted, setting off alarms. Guards swarmed in and captured the would-be abductors. Greg dusted off his hands. And that's why you never skimp on extra cheese. To the council it looked like brilliant strategy. To the princess it looked like fate. Finally came the wedding. Because tradition demanded it, Greg had to eat the heart fruit of eternity, a glowing, pulsating orb that quivered like jello left in the sun. The crowd murmured, "No human can survive." Greg popped it in his mouth, chewed thoughtfully and swallowed. "Tastes like chicken." Silence, then thunderous cheers. The princess was doubled over, laughing, tears in her eyes. Afterward, she took his hand. "Greg, I have been surrounded my entire life by people who wanted my crown, my power, my wealth. But you didn't want any of it. Greg smiled. I just like your laugh. And your glowing fruit wasn't half bad either. Because he said that, she kissed him. And because she kissed him, the galaxy erupted in fireworks. Greg blinked up at the sky. This definitely wasn't in the travel brochure. The princess squeezed his hand. No, Greg, this is better.